Oh, good. Okay. No one's around.
Yeah.
I'm glad that old Yeah, Felicia, we can go in. Do you have the
Okay.
lantern? Well, we can feel it out. We can feel
Yes.
you do.
Yes, and yes, I
yes,
I have
you have
a
the lantern. Okay, good. I like your cloak you've worn. Even though no one asked you to do that, that's fine. Okay, follow me.
Mm-hmm.
Creak. Let's scan the tomes, the scrolls. What was that? Did you hear that? Was that the professor?
Yeah.
Is that the professor coming to get Professor Schnozberry? Is he coming to get us? Okay, we might go faster. There it is, right there. The book, the tome that started it all, Felicia. Quick! They're coming after us, quick! Give me your hand! Can't touch it! We did it. We are in the book, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald
Oh, we're
Dahl.
in it?
We're in it, baby.
Oh, shit.
Racism and other boo-boos surrounding the tale, as you know. It's a Disney film, but made in the 1960s.
Oh, my God.
Hey, everybody.
I thought in the fiction you had just taken us to a tome, like an underground cavern, to just get a copy of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, one of the most popular children books of all time, easily accessible at nearly every bookstore.
But we wanted to find the magical one, Felicia. Remember you saying yes to that? Yeah. So we were in my head, we were in a library, and there was a professor coming after. I guess we were Harry Potter in the restricted library. It wasn't as creative. I like the cave, though. If we can retcon, we were in a cave. We'd finally found it next to the Dead Sea Scrolls.
We need to go back and count how many of these intros have taken place in a cave, because I think we're on like 3 or 4 at this point.
We're in a cavern system. This is Ember City, but Wonka, and we're just little naked mole rats.
All Wonka wells lead to the Wonka cavern.
Oh, well, that's a good cross-stitch pillow and or tattoo. Okay, this is good. This works. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
At the end of every episode, we say, hey guys, email us your concerns at wonkarapture@gmail.com.
Yes.
And you guys have been sending stuff, and it's been delightful, horrifying, intriguing, and mind-boggling, I would say, are some adjectives that come to mind. And we have enough now that it seemed selfish of us to keep these beautiful thought nuggets you've created and shared with us just to ourselves. We think everyone listening should hear it. So here's what's going on. I want to, hold on. Okay, we're back in the cave.
Okay.
Felicia, we finally found the book. We're in it, but there's so much more to this, so much more Wonka. We need our followers, our brethren in the cult. We need their ideas, their input, please. They must send it, for the Wonka rapture is nigh. They can send us anything. It can be their own theories about things we've mentioned in episodes, direct responses, things they've found that are Wonka related. Perhaps they've created a terrifying media for us to consume. It's happened. It was interesting. Whatever it is, Felicia, we must call upon them to email us, because we have email, at wonkarapture@gmail.com.
Yes, and if all of that's too much effort for you, I will also be accepting nouns, adjectives, and other Mad Libs input, because I do own a book of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory Mad Libs that I'm not really sure what to do with at this point. Woo!
You could do that thing that some terrifying bosses do where they email you, but the email is in the subject line, and it's just call me. And you're like, the fuck?
Yeah.
You just sent me a word. You can
just says elbow, and I'm like, okay, I got it.
We got it. Gmail category Mad Libs elbow. So yeah, varying degrees. Also, I just want to clarify, because sometimes I get worried about this. We've been checking with everybody if they're cool with it airing. So if you want to be anonymous, or you just want to send us something but you don't want it to be on the air, just let us know. We're cool with it. My dog has an Ugg bed now, because my mom gave her an Ugg bed for Christmas. Yeah, this bitch has nicer shit than I had in middle school.
I had secondhand Ugg boots I wore as a kid, and I did not wear socks with them.
Who was gonna know?
No one... I did. When you don't wear socks with Ugg boots, they transform into another shoe. They're like these
sheep tube.
Yeah, they didn't smell, which is the baffling part. They didn't smell. It was just there wasn't any fluff. It was just this, like, it felt like putting your foot into a piece of felt.
So email us at wonkarapture@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And we will be doing a listener episode coming up here soon.
I guess full disclosure, I want to let everyone know where we are coming to you at. I think the best way to absorb this episode is picture, like, it's late night and we're at a sleepover and everybody's really tired, but they're actually still awake. And this time they just happen to be talking about the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory novel. Look, Elaine just completed a long drive and just got back to her house. And I woke up from a nap, which makes me sound like the dick in this situation. I am, but that's okay. So we're both a little bit out of it. My situation is a lot less dire than Elaine's. But
like, I don't blame you, Felicia, but this is more in depth in the scenario. Felicia took a nap and then I just got home. I got home like 40 minutes ago, okay? And I left for Christmas, like the week before Christmas. And then there was a situation that delayed me getting home. I have not been home for 3 weeks. And I just finally got home. Like,
and this is your way to welcome yourself back.
I'm like sweaty and I'm ready. I'm so sorry.
Just picture it's late night. Sleep.
We don't want your parents are like really strict, so we have to make sure we're like not too gotta keep the energy.
One of us ate too many pieces of cheese and is feeling the consequences. And just ignore that we recorded this at 3:40 in the afternoon. All right, so we're talking about the book, but we're not yet because oh my god,
jokes. We got you guys. Right.
It's gonna take us so long to get through.
God, I have therapy tomorrow. I'll just send her the raw files.
All right, it's time for fucking Wonka Watch. There was an article from Key Management Insights, which was talking about Willy Wonka. What is known about the prequel? Y'all, I see this. There's a heading like every day in my email, but I always click on it because every once in a while I find something new. And in this one, they referenced an interview that the producer, David Heyman, told Collider for a promotional interview of Fantastic Beasts, but he decided to talk about Wonka for a little bit. Okay, that's our background.
This is an interview within an interview referencing a separate interview.
No. This is like, it's just some guy who compiled the article, but I was too lazy to click on the link to Collider, so I'm citing this one.
Respect. Love it. Okay.
So David Heyman said about Wonka, "We're still trying to figure out how to tell the story, what the story is. It's a prequel, not a sequel. Before seeing him at the chocolate factory with the golden ticket, where was Willy? What leads him to the place where he locks himself up? How does it get there? We're tinkering with all of this."
I want to strangle him with a tampon.
What? Why are you?
I don't know. It was just like, I was like, what's the like most aggressive thing I could do? And then
that would be so ineffective. How long are your fucking tampon strings?
You mean yours don't go down your pant leg up to your ankle?
Oh, Elaine, I don't wear tampons. I'm a little baby who only wears pads.
It wouldn't be a sleepover if we didn't talk about periods.
Where's our ice cream? I'm gonna have the biggest shit of my life later. I've never had a sleepover where like I don't have a massive like a stomach like reset, and it's like a cleanse, but in the opposite way of a cleanse, a toxification of the stomach and internal organs. You know?
Oh no. To be honest, I don't. Oh, the article made me mad, and that's why I said I'd strangle him with a tampon. Okay,
yeah,
that's just like maddeningly. At least they're asking the questions that I want answered, and so it seems they're gonna go in that direction. And I don't know if like ending with the, Wonka locked up. I don't know. If like I still have a feeling that there might be a handful of movies they could get out of this leading up to the lockup, but I don't know. I mean, if he's throwing that out, it almost sounds like a one and done. But
Is Wonka supposed to lock himself up before the Oompa Loompas? So the timeline is confusing to me.
It wouldn't make sense unless
we're doing.
Unless he's just
Timothy
saying shit, because
that
sounded like he came to class unprepared and got called on, and it was like, so it's a movie, but we're still trying to figure it out, even though we're filming, directing, and costuming. Now we're gonna have to figure out what's happening next, because that's the plot. That's how plot works, but I didn't sit down and figure it out, so we're just gonna have little Timmy start singing songs and throwing dollars as little Oompa Loompas come out and start dancing for him.
All right. Last article. We got a Collider interview with none other than the icon Olivia Colman.
Ooh.
So
it's time.
Here's what she said about Wonka.
Do we have beef with Olivia or not?
She said, "Oh yeah, Wonka is next, which is a musical." Someone went, "What? Are you singing?" And I went, "Oh shit, I don't think I'm singing anything." I had a panic attack, and I double-checked, and luckily, I'm not. I'm not required to sing, thank God. I just get to muck about and be silly and have a lovely time. It's really cool. It's a great script. I think it's going to be one of those family films that you just want to watch year after year, especially this time of year. Christmas.
Because it's about family, friendships, and love.
I'm so excited to be in it.
Wonka's a city boy, but he has to go home to his small town to save the chocolate factory. What's going to happen, though, when he comes across the local girl who loves to save the charity event, but they're going to burn down her barn to make more of the chocolate factory?
Oh, no.
Olivia Colman,
I'm not even done reading the quote, Elise. She said, "I'm so excited to be in it, and I'm so excited to watch it. There's not much stuff I do that I can watch with my kids, but that'll be really good with this one, I think, for that." So thank you, Olivia Colman.
If she's not singing, she must not have as big of a role to garner a song.
I didn't think she was a big role, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Muck About and Have Fun does lean towards the silly aunt vibe more than serious widow who gifts the top hat, though she could still do it.
I thought you were going to say who gives the top.
Olivia Colman's character, my prediction, well, just table this for later, is that Olivia Colman's character will give Timmy Wonka the talk.
I would pay fucking money for them to film that, but not tell Timothy Chalamet that was what was happening. So then she's just explaining, and he's like, "This wasn't in the script." And then he's like, "I know what sex is." And then she's like, "Well, do you though?" And it's like this whole, like, they're gaslighting Timothy Chalamet.
So, Timmy, there's candy canes, and then there's almond joys.
Oh no! I'm gonna have to look up an almond joy to see how much I have to yell at you about that.
You kind of have to yell at me a little bit about that.
Oh, Elaine! Elaine! That's awful!
Sorry, Puppet Elaine took over again. That was some good Wonka Watch stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like frustratingly like little morsels, but I ate them up, and I'm hungry for more. Welcome to Wonka Watch. Sit down, guys.
All right.
Why am I like the sad man at the bar now? What's
back in my day? Oh, I don't know what the rest of this joke is.
Have you even been to a bar? I don't. I've never been to a bar. So, how about that book, eh?
Yeah, that book. Wonka Watch book club time. Let's talk
everyone
about...
get your copies of your book out.
I have the double feature, the book with Charlie and the Glass Elevator, which we will be getting to shortly. We're just going to take a break because I think we would break if we read 2 of these books in a row.
My God.
Honestly, we're kind of just getting the novel out of the way because we realized it's kind of hard to do our diligence as Wonka scholars without having read the original novel.
It's kind of hypocritical. It'd be a problem.
Like, you can't report on the Alton Towers ride or the Broadway show, which is happening because people keep reaching out to us about it. It is happening. It's going to be a while, but it is going to happen.
You make it sound like people are aggravatingly like texting us, hounding us down, doxing us to get it. We've had like a handful of people email.
I know, but it's the most thing that's been highest requested.
That's so true.
And I just want to let them know it is gonna happen. It's just gonna be a bit because we want to get deep in it. So we read it, and Elaine, what's your biggest takeaway? How did you feel about this book?
I thought that this book did well in terms of making Charlie's situation a lot more dire. As one note I wrote down, chapter 10 is just straight up titled "The Family Begins to Starve."
I know.
Which is way more fucking hardcore than we saw in any of the other pieces of media. So it's like very clear that people are about to kick it.
Kick the bucket.
What I did with this book is I was thinking about how, like, you know, it's meant for kids, you know, and I had people read it to me, Felicia. That is how I consumed this book.
Oh my God, that was probably much better.
It really was, because I you know, was looking through it and I was like, this is probably going to be hard to like get through. But I had my friend Max read it to me, and my friend Max, I'm just going to have to demonstrate it for you because Max also works in the library. We've all touched the library at some point. That sounded weird. What I meant to say is that I used to work at a library, and then it's whatever. Okay, so this is how Max reads, okay? These two very old people are the father and the mother of Mr. Bucket. The entire book.
Oh my God, that sounds incredible.
It was great. So that's the energy I came into. So I actually thought it was really fun having it read out loud to me. I think having people do voices. So I was like, I could see why as a kid, like as a bedtime story, this would be awesome.
Yeah. So now let's contrast that with how I read it, which is perhaps the most opposite way one could read this novel, which is when it was slow at my work. Really turned it into a work duty for myself. And I think that kind of was channeled into my dislike of this book that I developed, which is quite intense, I will say. I do remember writing at one point, "Oh my God, Roald Dahl, shut the fuck up," as I was writing my notes. I was like rolling my eyes every chapter. I don't know what happened to me. Because here's the thing. I liked the Roald Dahl books as a kid, but I was so not into it. I was
interesting.
And I think genuinely this is the worst Roald Dahl book. Like, no question.
Wow.
I was a Matilda girl, and George's Marvelous Medicine. Those hold up. This does not hold up, in my opinion. Damn. I think if I had it read to me, I would not be as critical and actually probably have enjoyed it. Yeah. However, I did not like this book.
Tough words coming out right off the bat.
I guess we just got to get into the book, man. So
okay, let's do it. Short chapters.
Yes, he starts out the book with an intro of each of the characters, and he lists them as Augustus Gloop, a greedy boy; Veruca Salt, a girl who was spoiled by her parents; Violet Beauregard, a girl who chews gum all day long; Mike TV, a boy who does nothing all day but watch television; and Charlie Bucket, our hero. And it really feels like Roald Dahl is like, I don't want to see any of you rooting for anyone who is not myself, insert candy boy Charlie Bucket. And also, Elaine, I want you to, which descriptor do you feel like is you? I'm very much feeling a Violet Beauregard moment because I do chew gum constantly. I think maybe that's why he came off so aggressive to people who chew gum in this book. And I think I felt personally attacked because I was chewing gum while I was reading.
I would say on some days I'm a greedy little boy, and on other days I'm a girl who just chews gum all day.
Yeah.
Am I ever the hero? Yeah, no, I guess not. Okay.
All right,
I do have a rescue dog, but like, who rescued who? Am I right? I did think that was an interesting beginning because it's just like, here's the plot.
Yeah, it is fascinating. He really spoils the book with the titles of the chapters, because like some of the chapter titles were The Miracle and What It Said on the Golden Ticket are chapter titles, and also like Augustus Gloop Goes Up the Pipe is a chapter title in this book. Like, it really feels like he was just making, like, a plot summary. Like, if you condensed all of them together, you'd be like, oh, I understand the plot of this book.
Yeah. Now, for a kid, is that easy then to keep up with remembering what's happening? Probably. You know, if you're reading like a chapter each night or something, maybe that's helpful. But he really does. He's just like foreshadowing. Fuck that. I will let you know what's happening every single title. And like the chapter 1 title is so creepy. Like it's like he could be like, oh, here comes Charlie, or it's like, here comes Charlie.
I literally wrote chapter 1, here comes Charlie. I said very Jack Nicholson in The Shining is what I was picturing, him knocking down the door with an axe.
Here
also,
comes
did
Charlie.
your edition, my edition kept bolding and italicizing the word chocolate? Did yours do that?
You know what? I didn't read it.
That's true, you didn't, because mine, and every time I would read it, it would make me want to say it like Gollum. Like, I wrote the quote, he desperately wanted something more filling and satisfying than cabbage. The only thing he longed for, more than anything else, was chocolate. Like,
okay, I will say they do Roald Dahl in this book. It is much clearer that Charlie isn't necessarily obsessed with Willy Wonka. He is obsessed with chocolate to a point that is terrifying. Like when my dog walks past people who are grilling in their backyard, she lifts her snoot and starts sniffing the air. And that's literally what Charlie does in the air when he smells the chocolate from the chocolate factory. He's like, oh, it's chocolate and I'm dying from starvation.
He also, Roald Dahl described him seeing other people eat chocolate is described as torturous for Charlie Bucket. And the factory's existence itself is torturous. And he explicitly wants to go in there. And he actually has like protagonist properties in this book, which he doesn't have in like the Mel Stewart version, so that's good. And there was just like a lot of italicization in my copies, and you don't see that much in books, and I wanted to
I am seeing, quickly flipping through, I'm seeing italics galore.
I thought the descriptions of the grandparents, how they love telling stories to Charlie, that was actually probably my favorite part of the book. I thought it was very sweet and cute.
I will say, so mine had illustrations. What the fuck are the grandma's faces? They don't have faces.
Yeah.
They're just unfortunate squiggles thrown together.
That's just Quentin Blake's art style, man. Unfortunate squiggles thrown together is actually an incredible description.
Oh, man. I'm an art critic now.
This Wonka, is very creative. He also canonically makes gum before Veruca gets to the factory.
Yes.
Which is fucked up. Grandpa Joe was like describing all these different things Wonka made to Charlie, and the big star was the bird candy, which is an egg that if you suck on it, there's a pink bird inside, which I feel like is actually very doable. Like, I feel like that could exist. Like, you just need a melty candy and you suck on it, and then...
Hey, it was 1930s, and they didn't have the same innovation that we have now.
60s.
It was the 1930s plus 30 years, and it's... Speaking of time, go on this journey with me.
Okay, I will go on this journey.
The grandparents are all in their 90s, right? Charlie is 10 years old.
Yeah.
How old are Charlie's parents?
I feel like I'm in 5th grade doing a math problem.
Hear me out, okay? 90. Let's subtract, let's say the parents are like 40, 30 or 40. Let's say 40, okay? 90 to 40, that would be a 50-year difference, which would mean that the parents were either born when their parents were 50 years old, or the Buckets are older, having birthed this child. Like, I just don't know how old. Like in this book, based on their ages, Grandpa Joe should be like great grandpa, and maybe we're having like I couldn't. I don't know. I got hung up on that. I was like, wait, so how old?
We move on to the story of Prince Pondicherry, which I don't understand why this was included in the book, because it tells us nothing about any character.
I guess it's kind of like the expansion of like, they share little stories, but it doesn't, in terms of like moving plot along or maybe revealing something more about Wonka's character aside from he makes chocolate, like it's not there. Like that's where I really think there should have been conflict, where it's like, and war broke out and Wonka ran away.
Yes, like there should have been consequences to that story, and there's nothing.
Just like, oops.
But interestingly, Grandpa Joe never worked at the factory in this version.
He just knows a lot.
So then we move on to the whole incident of firing all his workers and getting the Oompa Loompas. So he fired thousands of employees. Just, I hate this book, Wonka. I'm gonna come out and say it. I fucking hate book Wonka. He sucks. I don't like him. He's annoying and he sucks.
I tried really hard not to imagine the like horrifying picture that was in my children's book from our book report as Wonka, but I couldn't. And it was like heinous.
There was also a Fickle Grubber mention, which I was very pleased about. I giggled. Excited for my boy Freckle Grubber. And I did like the idea that chocolate was delivered via a trap door in the factory wall.
Yes.
I was obsessed with that. That was a good bit. I liked that one. He puts out the golden ticket. Okay, so Augustus is described in a very weird way. This book's treatment of Augustus is bad.
It's rough on the poor boy.
But Augustus, because of getting the golden ticket, becomes a local hero to the point where there are holidays and parades after him for essentially winning a giveaway, which is bonkers. And also, the computer guy's name, because there's a character in there who's implied to be the computer guy in the 1971 film, is named Professor Foulbody, which is the best name.
Was it Professor Foulbody who was following us in the library?
Ooh, you're right. For people listening, Professor Foulbody's story is that he made a machine with a mechanical arm that would detect golden tickets, but it accidentally grabbed the gold tooth in a duchess's mouth, and then the crowd smashed the machine to pieces, which sounds like a fucking Kurt Vonnegut short story. Like, that's it felt really out of place. It was very, oh my god, what's the name of that story? Bergeron. It's very Harrison Bergeron. I really was trying so hard not to just say Tom Bergeron and move on. It's really funny. Imagine it's like a Kurt Vonnegut short, very Tom Bergeron, and never elaborate. So it's Charlie's birthday, and every time I hear the Whipple Scrumptious Fudge Mallow Delight has a hold on me, I want one so fucking bad. It sounds so good. So Charlie gets the Wonka bar, and he let his chocolate bar fall on his dirty pants, which I just thought was gross, personally. And I will say, Roald Dahl writes about this fucking chocolate like it's foreplay. And I don't...
Yeah.
And I was like,
detailed?
It's incredibly detailed. There's something about... It's written so weird. Like, just believe me, when you read this, you're like, are you good, Roald Dahl? Are you good?
I felt like the adjectives I used in my fan fiction were also used in this book to describe chocolate, and I felt uncomfortable by that.
Violet Beauregard gets her ticket, and Mike TV gets the ticket. So Violet Beauregard, I think she is wrongfully maligned in the 1971 movie and most of the time in this book. In my opinion, Violet Beauregard just has ADHD and self-soothes with gum, and I do the same thing. So that's probably why I hate the Violet Beauregard slander. The way she has used the same piece for months is gross, but she seems fun. I don't like her putting gum on the elevator buttons, though. That is gross. I don't like that.
Yeah. Do you think if you were on the playground, she'd be your friend, or would she bully you?
I'd be her friend.
Well, would she be your friend?
Okay, so I have to weigh this against each other. Okay, the two sides of me as a child. So one side of me was incredibly assertive and one of the most self-confident people I know, but I also did cry when someone called me a dweeb. So it's like,
It's a lot. Yeah. Well, you said you have really good like sidekick energy. And so I feel like you could be a really good minion to a bad girl. But then you'd have your like Iago moment where you're just like, bye.
She's not bad though. She's just written that way. Like she's
from a man's perspective, nonetheless.
I read Don't Hurt Her. She's literally neurodivergent and a minor.
I like that take because what would I have done if a child in here had basically been very clearly bipolar? Probably cry. Yeah.
She just seems like
a way to clarify. I just like threw that out like, what if a child was bipolar? I have bipolar disorder to clarify to everyone.
That's the thing.
I just pulled out my favorite mental healths. I have them in a calendar and I just like to focus on them 1 month at a time. Today's month is bipolar.
All right. But also one of the things that Veruca is said to suck, one of the reasons that Roald Dahl hates her is because she talks really loud. which is a common neurodivergent trait of not knowing how to regulate your talking volume, something I have, because fun fact, I'm incapable of whispering. I can do it, but I cannot whisper a whole conversation. And multiple times my mother has said to me, you are the only person I've ever met who doesn't know how to whisper. And it just, I don't know. Grandma Georgina is a fucking menace in this book. She is out for blood on each of these kids because they're watching everybody get the tickets on the TV, and she's making these insane comments. Just out for blood, trying to roast these kids alive. I don't like her. She was infuriating to me, and I wrote very much the type to be mad that a kid who was a little too loud got a sample of American cheese from the deli counter, but she couldn't get one because she was, an adult woman.
I feel like it's like, you've got 4 grandparents, and I feel like it's going pretty well ticking off the different kinds of bitter grandparent or wild, weird grandparent you can have. So I don't like her either, but I was like, have I met one of my friend's grandmamas that is like that? Indeed.
Oh, yeah.
Spooky.
So Grandpa Joe gives the money.
Yes, he gets the money to Charlie to get the chocolate. Is that where we're going?
Yeah, so he gives the... I'm, like, broken.
Yeah.
So, Tim Burton's movie is very accurate but in the way that, like, literal full lines of dialogue are taken from the book, which I thought was really interesting and cool. Yeah. There was also the introduction of a new chocolate bar that Charlie buys with Grandpa Joe's money, which is Wonka's Nutty Crunch Surprise.
I laughed really hard, like a child.
And in this version, they open the chocolate bar, and they're all like excited for it, and then they open it and it's empty, and then they both start laughing because of kind of how dumb it all is, which I actually really liked. I think that was my favorite part of the book.
Same. It seemed a little more realistic on like, yeah, it's fun, whatever. We never have good luck. Why would we try now? Kind of vibe.
So now we move on to The Family Begins to Starve, the most ominous chapter title.
My God.
Okay, so now the miracle and what it said on the golden ticket. The golden ticket.
The golden chicken sent out, flying overhead in short bursts because it can't super fly. You must find the egg, hatch it, and then a golden egg may be inside that egg. Wait, no, and then there's a chicken inside of that golden egg, so it's a double egg chicken. I feel like my brain is a crumbling cookie. And just somebody keeps beating the table it's on, and just piece after piece is falling apart.
But yeah, when Charlie opens the golden ticket, the bar with the golden ticket in it.
Oh, girl. Okay, remember. It's the main part of the book. Is a chocolate bar, and he opens it. Okay, we're there.
Okay, he needs it, the skinny little shrimp, someone says to him, which I think is funny. And then so I think my favorite phrasing in the entire book is when Grandpa Joe says to him, "You're pulling our legs, Charlie. You're having a little joke."
You're having a little joke. It was very cute.
And then, of course, Grandpa Joe, an explosion takes place inside him, and he jumps up and he yells, "Yippee!" and he gets all excited and starts moving again. And then Mr. Bucket says, "Cripes," which I just haven't heard in a long time, so that made me laugh. Okay, so on the golden ticket, it writes out exactly what is said on the golden ticket, and it's like 2 fucking paragraphs. So was he using like size 4 font on this fucking ticket?
I will say in my illustration, the ticket's bigger, but that makes me think, how big are these fucking chocolate bars?
That's true.
Or whatever.
There's so many. Maybe it was folded up.
Maybe. But yeah, it's long. And then what I highly enjoyed is that it's like, what was it? My name is Mr. Willy Wonka. I shake you warmly by the hand is actually on the ticket. And yet Tim Burton interpreted that, let's make it really awkward and have Jimmy Wonka just say that to people. And that made me giggle.
You did just say like, Jimmy Wonka.
Who the fuck is Jimmy?
We're making a new Wonka.
Sorry, this is the John Lee Dumas Wonka, the Jimmy.
Wonka was getting really into the specifics, and then later, if you run out of chocolate, all you have to do is come back to the factory and show it to me again. There's no other way to verify the identity of the 5 people who came. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And potentially you could solve world hunger with that, because if the only thing that's required is that you have a golden ticket, you just pass that shit around like a Netflix subscription. Everybody's got free chocolate. We're all good, you know? Chapter 13, the big day arrives. So both parents come with all the kids in this version. In this fucking virgin.
I'll come in this virgin. A life supply of chocolate, eh?
I did write about this illustration by Quentin Blake that Mike TV's dad looks like Dilbert and Veruca Salt's dad looks like Danny DeVito's penguin.
My God, you're right.
Thank you.
That's exactly what it was. Because I was shown the pictures, don't worry, as it was read out loud to me. Like a true child.
The kids were standing outside the factory, and then the crowd would be like, "That's Veruca Salt!" And then they'd all be like, "What a terrible fucking kid!" And it was like the crowd was holding what I described as a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant Comedy Central roast of these children outside the gates of the factory. Like this very moralistic...
Those kids are going to be so fucked up.
Truly. Oh, who's the big fat boy? Like that's
yeah. Like what?
Enormous,
the hell?
Isn't he? Like what?
Do they just come from a town of assholes? Like I don't understand why we would do this to the children.
Why hasn't he got a coat on in this cold weather? Don't ask me. Maybe he can't afford to buy one. Like what?
Poor people.
Who's the kid with a picture of the Lone Ranger stenciled on his windbreaker? That's a highly specific description.
Yeah, that's like they're probably like 5 feet away from him, just staring at him at dead point.
The one I want to see is Veruca Salt. She's the girl whose father brought up 500,000 candy bars and then made the workers in the peanut factory unwrap every one of them until they got a golden ticket. She only has to start screaming and she gets what she wants. Dreadful, isn't it? Shocking, isn't it? They sound like Daily Mail articles. All right, so my nemesis, Rolled Wonka, shows up. Are we calling him Rolled Wonka? Because we need a shorthand for Book Wonka.
I think Rolled Wonka is a bit of a mouthful. How about Gremlin Wonka?
Bad Wonka. Maybe we go for Squirrel Wonka, because he's described, he was like a squirrel in the quickness of his movements. A clever old squirrel from the park.
Bad Squirrel Wonka.
Evil Mr. Squirrel Wonka.
I like it. You just keep adding adjectives every time you bring up Squirrel Wonka. I'm down.
The Wonka is clearly excited to see the kids, which is something has not that is not carried over to other adaptations, like at all. All right, Wonka's factory is apparently underground, which is something I didn't put together.
Same. A little spooky.
And he basically says...
I actually did to my friend. We both were like, so Ember City, but Wonka? Is where that came from. We were like, the fuck?
Yeah, and Wonka definitely does not have a permit to build underneath. He basically says that he's been digging underneath the city for years, which he doesn't have a permit for. And I just pictured you're a normal family, and you're like, maybe... you know what, maybe we'll add a basement under our house. Wouldn't that be crazy? You know? And I was just picturing a contractor's being like, ma'am, you've got a Wonka infestation. And then it turns out just underneath her house is just Wonka's bedroom with his fucking chocolate waterbed. We move to the chocolate room. So this Wonka, one of the big things he always says is, I can't abide ugliness, which it felt weird with how many times he said it. But I did say,
his description.
I said, go tell that to Johnny Wonka, make him fix that mess. Here's where I went a little insane. Wonka said that the chocolate river could fill every swimming pool and every bathtub in the country. So now it's time for calculating the size of the chocolate river very messily. I had free time at work, and this is what happened. So I looked up how many public pools are in the UK. So there's about 3,000, and I averaged 25,000 gallons apiece. There's 250,000 home pools at around 10,000 gallons apiece. 25 million homes, so we'll say about 25 million bathtubs, even though we don't know for sure, because like not everybody has a bathtub, but some people have two, so I thought it'll probably work out in the end. So then I calculated 25 million bathtubs times 42 gallons, and altogether we got 4,679,325,000 gallons, which for reference This is, for some reason, the only statistic I could find is about 200 of the Bellagio 8.1 acre lakes and fountains. So picture, the lake in front of the Bellagio? 200 of them, and that's how big his chocolate river is.
Oh my god.
I wrote, this took me 30 minutes. You gotta find the fun, lads. This book is dragging.
Gosh. Felicia. I'll read this out loud to you. I'll read out loud a book to you.
I think my childish joy was just gone this week.
Your inner child was thrown in the chocolate river and drowned by your own hands.
I know. Grandpa Joe says I could go around on all fours like a cow and eat every blade of grass. And I said, okay, cool. What about your knees?
Jesus.
Unnecessarily mean. I wrote, I hate this Wonka. He sucks. So then we get on to the whole Oompa Loompa thing, which we talked a lot about the issues with the Oompa Loompa in the book version in the 8th episode, where we talked about Johnny Wonka. And this episode is already a fucking hour long, so we're not going to get into it today. But I will say, Wonka's like, oh, I got the Oompa Loompas from Loompa Land, and Veruca's family must not be as rich as we think because her mom is a geography teacher, which feels inconsistent with everything
Unless
else
it's one of those fun little woman hobbies.
That was the other alternative. So during this period, he also said he wasn't making chocolate, but he kept warehouses of cocoa beans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just in case. Do they keep? Are they nasty? Many questions. So he gets the Oompa Loompas. We gotta keep trudging through this book. Augustus Gloop.
A lot of the plot is the same, guys, so don't worry.
You know it if you've been listening to the podcast for that long. So now we get to chapter 17. Augustus Gloop goes up the pipe. One thing is, in the book, Augustus has a cold, which makes this so much worse.
Oh my god, yeah.
That actually sucks. Augustus's dad does not want to save his child because he has a good suit on. And interestingly, the line, help, murder, police, is a line from Mrs. Gloop, which I thought was fascinating. And I will say, Mr. Gloop gets angry when Wonka says people wouldn't buy Augustus Gloop's shaped flavored fudge. And Mr. Gloop is like, are you fucking kidding me? My son would be delicious. How dare you? How dare you insult my dead son?
Very odd. Odd moment to suddenly be proud of your son, considering you didn't want to rough up your suit.
So the worst line, we get the Oompa Loompa song, which is insane.
And in the audiobook also, because I had to dabble in the audiobook for my drive back here, they just started randomly playing drums in the background, but it wasn't singing. It was like slightly intoned talking.
Who was reading it?
Some British guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. You know the type.
So I said the worst line in the Oompa Loompa song was 100 knives to slice, slice, slice.
God, yeah.
Yikes. And the song refers to boiling the greed out of Augustus Gloop and how he will only be loved as a piece of fudge. And I said, Roald Dahl, please go to therapy. And then the song is over and Grandpa Joe essentially goes, yikes! Hope that was a funny little goof.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy.
So we go down the chocolate river and the boat is like the description of the Johnny Wonka boat, which makes sense. Wonka says it's his private yacht that he carved her out of a boiled sweet, which is fucking insane, but we don't have time to even like process that.
Mm-hmm. Boiled sweet is a disgusting description. That's all I would like to say.
Veruca did her whole, I want this thing. And Grandpa Joe said, she wants a kick in the pants. What?
Damn.
Book Grandpa Joe is that type to make a weird comment to you when you're working as a cashier while there are cards in the reader and it keeps beeping, and you're like, yes, please take your card out. It's been 2 minutes. That type who's like, yeah, anyway. The Wonka gone crazy bit is so underwhelming after you've seen the Gene Wilder version, because in this book the lights are turned off and he just recites a poem and that's all that happens, and you literally just saw a kid get sucked up a pipe and this is what freaks you out.
Yeah.
And Grandpa Joe, I think, has a thing for Wonka in this book because he's defending him way too hard. Like, he is riding hard on the... Nope.
Nah, well...
Nope.
You
turned into a door?
Was it secretly the love tunnel and the chocolate river?
We go past all the doors and all the doors that show up in the Johnny Wonka movie of like hair cream and things like that. But there is one door labeled has-beens, which I do think is funny.
I think that
was good. That was good.
That's where we reside in the factory.
So 19, the inventing room, we get some more Fickle Grubber lore. Old Fickle Grubber would give his front teeth to be in here, which does mean canonically he's not a frog, which did really take me out of it. I forgot that we don't make the Wonka lore, you know? And
it was up until that point we were sure he was a frog. We wanted him a frog, but then that one detail dashed all that very reasonable logic away.
I don't know. I just thought it'd be more fun if he was a frog.
What if he was a frog with teeth? I mean, Arthur.
Think about that. That's fucking awful.
You actually proved that argument correct in that moment, and I will close the case. He's still a frog in my head, but we can move on.
Okay, but the whole argumentative Mike TV and dismissive Wonka trope originates in this book, which I did think was great.
I loved it.
The Great Gum Machine and Goodbye Violet, chapters 20 and 21. So Wonka, basically, he talks about his gum, and he wants to eradicate multiple industries. He said, the end of all kitchens and cooking will be with this gum. There will be no more marketing, no more buying groceries, no more utensils, which is... He's already ruined the economy of this small town, and now you want to ruin multiple industries. Like, truly, the economic effects of Wonka are insane.
Also, who would want to... He is so out of touch with reality. Who would want to chew gum instead of, like, get in on that KFC bucket of chicken? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like...
Yeah. And we do get the iconic line when Violet Beauregard eats the gum. She says... Tomato soup, I can feel it running down my throat. I'm glad.
I hate that line more than anything in this entire fucking thing. And I swear to God, if the musical has it, I will burn.
I said, something. Why is that the thing that has stayed consistent through all iterations?
All of them. Why?
And if she says it in the fucking musical, I'm going to melt like the Wicked Witch of the West. Like, I'm going to have a moment. So I do think it's interesting that like Roald Dahl and all the other versions and later interpretations have been like, well, it's because she's a brat. That's why we don't like her. But this song is like really fucking stuck on the gum thing. It feels like Roald Dahl knew a kid who chewed gum too much and was like a little too loud and it pissed him off and was like, I'll show him. Like it really much has a personal vendetta vibe.
Her name was actually just Violet Beauregard and he just threw it in the book.
So the song tells the story of this lady named Miss Bigelow, a woman who chews gum constantly, 50 packs a day, but also keeps the same piece on her nightstand overnight. But she chews her gum and runs out, so she starts eating anything she can find, like linoleum or boots. But then one night she puts her gum on a little plate on the bedside table, but her jaw keeps chewing up overnight and bites her tongue in half. And then, I quote, thereafter, just from chewing gum, Miss Bigelow was always dumb and spent her life stuck up in some disgusting sanatorium. What? Hey.
Is that when it really hit for you?
Yes.
It like really hit. You were like...
I wrote, I am chewing gum right now. Fuck you, Roald Dahl.
As someone who has nightmares about my teeth falling out and cracking and stuff, I didn't like that part at all. And I think the Oompa Loompas need to like, I don't know.
Calm down.
Love.
Choose love, Oompa Loompas. They go along the corridor and they talk briefly about fizzy lifting drinks. And an Oompa Loompa drank a fizzy lifting drink and got flown into the sun. And Wonka yelled, "Burp, you silly ass, burp!"
But they never saw him again. And I'm like, how many Oompa Loompas have died for your fucking candy? Because it sounds like a lot.
We have the square candies that look round, which is a good pun. And are they sentient, though? Did he make living sugar cubes? Basically, in the book, Wonka's like, oh, look, these are square candies that look round. And everyone's like, they're not round, they're fucking squares. And then little faces show up on them and start looking around. And he's like, see, they do look round. That's the whole chapter. I
fucking loved it.
It was
I was
good.
all about that dad joke. He spent years building up to it. Beautiful.
The Oompa Loompas are alcoholics in this book.
Okay, wait, sorry. What if the squares that look around, it's like an Ursula situation and they're poor unfortunate souls?
That's literally the vibe I was getting. One of those is Augustus Gloop, and he's like, "Get me out of here!
No, I'm a square. Get me out, you fool!"
So yeah, the Oompa Loompas are alcoholics, and Wonka says their favorite drink is butterscotch and soda. So I guess that's the official Wonka cocktail. Would that be good? I don't know anything about alcohol.
Butterscotch is fun. Soda's fun. Together, I don't know.
We'll find out one day.
I'll go to Total Wine and be like, and then I'll make it, and then I'll report back to you.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So now we're at Veruca in the nut room, and I just wanted to write, "Hey Wonka, have you ever heard of putting a lock on a door? I know you live here alone, but maybe proof the place." Because basically Wonka's like, "Don't open that door and go into the nut room. Put a lock on the door, Wonka." That's it. That's the whole solution.
There were so many squirrels.
24
for each arm. I'm like, do you know how big a squirrel is?
Yeah, that is
the mathematics of that is unreasonable. They'd have to be like climbing on top of each other. Roald Dahl, go back to math class. Thank you. Said the person who knows nothing about math.
I will say Quentin Blake killed it with the drawing of a squirrel. It's very cute. Wonka also eats fish, potatoes, and cabbage.
I did like that we confirmed he eats things aside from candy.
Yeah, he is a human being. Mr. Salt says, "My daughter may be a bit of a frump. I don't mind admitting it, but that doesn't mean you can roast her to a crisp," which I do think is a good line.
That's amazing.
And then her mom's name is Angina Salt.
Oh, God. I was on the road. Near-death experience. Angina Salt came on. I cackle. There's a bit of a swerve. A little danger. All is good. That's all I have to say. Thank you for my time.
So we go onto the Great Glass Elevator. So like in Johnny Wonka, we see some of the elevator buttons, and some of these suck, Roald Dahl. I forgot about writing that. They have explanations on them. So how small is the font on these elevator buttons? So here are some of the ones I pulled out. We have Stick Jaw for talkative parents. Mint Jujubes for the boy next door. His teeth will be green for a month. Which is fucking... Why would you put that on the button? This one is really stupid. Magic hand fudge. When you hold it in your hand, you taste it in your mouth.
Absolutely hated that. Because then I was like, what else? I don't know. That was horrifying to me because that means he is now messing with anatomy, and I don't like that. I don't know what kind of fuckery that is.
Wriggle sweets that wriggle in your tummy after you swallow them.
That's just called lactose intolerant.
That's called tapeworm.
Oh no! I liked the exploding candies for your enemies.
Yes. One that I think is crucial is cavity filling caramel. No more dentists. Which perhaps was inspo for the dentist crocodile.
Oh yes! It was what a horrifying image, though.
And then they pass a bunch of places in the glass elevator, such as an enormous spout with brown sticky stuff oozing out of it onto the floor. What the fuck is that? Fudge Mountain, which is in the movie, a machine with white powder spraying out of it like a snowstorm.
Cocaine.
A hot caramel lake and an Oompa Loompa village.
A hot caramel lake. If you threw someone in it, would they die?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
26 and 27, the television chocolate room. I just wrote shit name, which is...
It was really lame. I was like, we have all these cool candy names, and that's the best you could do. Were you giving up? Good gosh. Good God gracious.
So Mike TV's mom asked if Wonka could send cereal through the air, and he said, "Don't mention that in front of me. It's made of pencil shavings and sawdust." And then I just wrote, "I'm so sick of this guy."
I love that we know his weakness now. I mean, he has a couple, but like the fact that cereal had such a visceral reaction for him. It's a sweet. It's a sugar that is, I guess, bastardized for him.
Yeah, and so Mike TV gets shrunken down. He's less than an inch tall. He's the size of a D&D mini.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the whole, we'll stretch him, but he'll be thin. But then Wonka says, oh, not to worry. I'll make him normal with my super vitamin candy, which has every vitamin in existence, even the rare vitamin Wonka that will make his toes as long as his fingers. Huh? What? What?
His toes as long as his fingers is horrible. Look at these hands.
I know.
Toes.
I don't know. This chapter just really, as an adult, when I read it, I just feel Roald Dahl being scared of the advent of TV, that he'll get less work because they'd watch TV instead of reading books, which is rich coming from the man who hosted the British anthology series Tales of the Unexpected 15 years later for 9 fucking seasons. And then if you read the Loompa song, it's confirmed. He's just like, TV bad because...
Wasn't there like a whole like stretch of paragraphs that just kept going read.
Basically.
Like he just like it like back to back just saying read over and over again. And I was like, are we okay, we get it.
We get it. I understand what you're saying, but also Sesame Street is better than anything you will ever make, Roald Dahl, and you need to accept that. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
I feel like this is really hot. Coming in hot. Like
I'm a
caramel
Muppet
lake over here, Felicia.
So Roald Dahl would reblog those bad political cartoons where it's like young hand people phone hand will be phone because phone is bad and phone. And he's never heard the word intersectional in his life.
I think the TV room was kind of super boring compared to the way everyone else has done it better. He made this sound so lame and I was like, I could skip.
Yeah. I mean,
Such
that's
a skip.
how I felt about the whole book.
Really?
Yeah, so if you couldn't tell at this point, so now there's only Charlie left. We get the "My dear boy, you've won," which another
if
one.
you skipped ahead, if you went from chapter 10, the family is starving, to chapter 28, only Charlie left. This is a Donner Party horror book.
That's really good. Wonka says the elevator is powered by 1 million candy power.
Fuck.
And then I said, like, maybe I'm just not meeting this book where I need to, but I'm so over it, dude. I normally love the whimsy. I
think the whimsy was beat out of you by your government job. It sounds like.
I love my job. I think I think maybe I'm over it. Maybe I got too deep in the Wonka well, and now I'm resenting what got me here. This is where I get really mean. Like, yes, sometimes you can just say things and it's funny, but these aren't funny, Roald I said Roald Dahl's editor was not nearly scathing enough. I want to rewrite this book into a 40-page novella.
I would like to say, I feel like usually I get very angry on this podcast. I get very passionate, and I've been pretty like, I don't know if it's because I'm subdued, but you are so, I see you, I validate you, but the anger you have towards this book is a bit shocking.
I don't know why. I think I just thought the book was like a mid-tier Roald Dahl book, and now rereading it, I'm like, oh, this is a low-tier Roald Dahl book. Anyway, I'm not actually that upset about it now. I think to get you in the mindset of where I was at, it was Wednesday when I recorded this. I was on the night shift and I felt like garbage. Turns out my ADHD medication has needed to be upped, which has now happened, and I'm doing better. Okay.
Yummy.
So I was having a really rough day. I had to get a fucking iced coffee before I went to work at 4 to make it through my shift. So I was in that kind of mode where you're like,
ooh, yeah.
And I'm like, my clothes are too tight and I feel uncomfortable. And I think I just took it out on the book. You know what I mean?
I do. Better a book than like a person. That's all I got.
So the other children get sent home from the factory. The other kids do actually get the chocolate.
Augustus Gloop gets the most horrifying liposuction treatment. He comes out really skinny. Like,
yes. And Violet gets juiced and is now purple, but Wonka says she looks healthier, so she got forcibly juice cleansed.
And then Mike TV yet again is just horrifying because Wonka, what was it? He mentioned
they said
it was something
10
horrifying.
feet tall and as thin as a wire.
Disgusting.
So apparently the whole I want a child who I can train in my image comes from this book. I am not surprised at all.
No.
So the rest of the buckets are going to live in the factory and help run it until Charlie is old enough, as proposed by Wonka. And one of the grandparents says, "Who is this crazy man? He could have killed us all." And then Grandpa Joe's, "That is Mr. Willy Wonka himself." What an introduction.
Yeah.
And they forcibly take the immobile grandparents against their wishes. As I took the quote from the book, taking no notice of their screams, they push their bed into the elevator. And the grandparents are like, "Is there food? We have nothing to eat and we're all dying." And Charlie goes, "Just wait and see." And I wrote, "Elaine, this sucked." Truly the worst version of this story.
Damn. Wow. I guess if I had, I don't have. I feel
like I came off very bitter this episode, which is not accurate.
But that's okay. It's okay.
I want to apologize
to me.
to anyone who like enjoys this book. I don't even feel that bad. I think
roast her, finish her. I'm kidding. Don't do that because I get really pissy here all the time. And if we start that as a tradition, I will cry myself to sleep tonight.
Don't roast us, please. We'll both get very sad about it and have to talk about it in therapy.
I think that for me, if I had to read this on my own, I wouldn't have. But I did, and I think that it reminds me of, I was older when I got into Harry Potter. And so I have never actually been able to read the first book because it is so geared towards children that I just couldn't digest it for some reason at that point. And I'd seen the movies. Oh, shut up. I was like an 8th grader at this point. So, and I'd seen the movie so many times, and with this, it's like I've seen all the media. Yeah. So going into it, I was like, I kind of already know it. But I think it wasn't the book; it was the experience of having it read out to me with my friends as I stayed with them for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that sounds sweet. Okay, I think this is what we need to dive into.
Okay.
I think I know why I hated this book, and it has more to do with me than it does with the novel. I mean, I don't feel bad shitting on it. I mean, Roald Dahl kind of sucks. Like, I don't feel bad.
For sure.
He cheated on his wife for 15 years and was like a known anti-Semitist. So like, he's
and
not
did
good.
things in Africa ambiguously.
Yeah,
we don't know
not
about.
A good guy. So like, I was kind of like, I'm fine with shitting on Roald Dahl a little bit going in, but 2 things about me. One, I just want to make a note to give you an idea of the energy I was like as a child, how, I guess, confident I was. When I read the Harry Potters, I thought the 5th book was boring, so I just fucking skipped it and went right to book 6, and I went, oh my god, serious? All right.
You...
a mad woman, truly. I finished the series and then went back and read the 5th book and went, oh.
You're like, that explains some stuff.
I skipped a 700-page book because there were 30 pages about politics, and I was like,
to be fair, the 5th book is like real boring, so I don't blame you.
It's my least favorite.
That is psychotic.
Yeah, so that gives you an idea of what I was like as a child. And I was like if I could have been a card-carrying absurdist as an 8-year-old, I would have been.
My God.
Which I know sounds insane, but if any book tried to implant a moral onto me, I would get so fucking pissed. I'd be like, oh, you think I don't know that? You think I don't know that? You think I don't understand that I'm not supposed to be
it's almost
dick?
like a coddling thing. Condescending.
Yeah,
like, if you didn't know, the moral of the story is to love each other. And you're like, that ain't real life, bitch.
I'd be like, I'm so sick of these fucking morals. Sometimes things don't have to mean anything. Have you ever thought about that? Maybe it doesn't all have to mean anything and it all could just be stupid and fun. And I think that part of me, it occasionally gets reactivated. And I think that came out while reading this book, because while all the funny goofs and gaffs were good, Roald Dahl had an agenda with this book, and I didn't like it. I didn't like that. It made the 9-year-old anger come out in me, where I would write a critical essay lambasting those aspects of the book, I was a weird kid, dude. Weird fucking kid.
I don't think I would have liked this book as a kid. I will say. I loved mysteries, which also I would like to say would explain why Roald Dahl was not on my radar, because that was not the genre I was dallying about. I was not frilly-frolly flouncing about that, and I just read animal books. That was it. So overall, I would say so far in terms of the canon we have, I would rank Gene Wonka first, Johnny Wonka second, book third.
Yeah.
But I think I had a better time with the third with my friends. Better memories with the third one. I watched the Johnny Wonka by myself and didn't really have, if that makes sense, memory-wise.
For me, controversially, Johnny Wonka is first because I just find him bonkers and batshit, and I think he's funny. So he's my first. I don't necessarily say I think he's better than Gene Wonka, but if I had to watch exclusively their performance, I would watch Johnny's because it's fucking batshit and I enjoy it.
That's fine.
Then Gene, and then Book Wonka is like so far down. I don't enjoy Book Wonka. I don't enjoy what he's doing.
Well, if you want to burn it and roast marshmallows over it later, that could be a fun time.
That's a library book.
Oh,
I can't do that, Elaine.
Bummer.
I'm in my master's program.
When I bought this, I was like, I'm gonna have Felicia sign this book one day, and then Timothy Chalamet will sign the book as well, and then the book gonna have signed my book of Willy Wonka, and it will stay with me forever.
So cute. I want to do that. That's
really now, I don't know if you would deign to sign this script.
I'm gonna buy a version of the book just because I feel like I need to have it because of this fucking podcast.
I would give it to you to sign, and then you just draw a dick on it, hand it back, and be like, "Enjoy." And I'd be like, "You desecrated my little book for Timmy Wonka."
It'll be like Charlie and the Shit Factory.
You just go in and start editing everything. You're
just ripped out pages
in 72 hours.
All right, we need to wrap up this episode. It's been an hour and a half.
Jesus.
Prequel predictions. Yes. So I actually planned my prediction, Elaine.
What?
I wrote something ahead of time.
No way.
And I said that the Professor Foulbody name will show up at some point, and if it doesn't, they made a mistake. I'm rooting for like a street sign in the back for a shop called Dr. Foulbody's Pharmacy, where he goes to like the town doctor, and it's Dr. Foulbody because I think it's funny. So
that'd be good. That'd be good.
Yes.
I predict there will be a scene in the prequel where it's really quiet, it's at night, and there's some sneaking, and then there's going to be the but they bump into a friend. And it's like that kind of joke. And they're like, oh, Hugo Loomba, what are you doing here? I couldn't let you do it on your own. Well, I guess, okay, come with me. We're going to sneak in and steal all the sugar. Well, I suppose if we want to do it, can I get a cocoa bean? I guess so. I think something like that.
I am more putting this out there for wishful thinking. That I want you to picture Timothy Chalamet. He goes into a tavern and you hear like the clinking of the glasses and everything like that, and he sits down and a menu gets delivered to him. Let's not think about it, the logistics of this too much. He gets a menu delivered to him, and he picks something off the appetizers menu, and we don't really get to see what it is. And he's milling about. Maybe he's having a discussion with his fun aunt Olivia Colman. And it comes back out to him. Maybe he's doing a business deal about the factory, and it's not a tavern, it's actually a restaurant. Scratch everything I've said. We're in a restaurant.
Okay.
And it's delivered onto a little bowl is delivered onto his plate, and we see him taking a little sip from a spoon and doing like a big little and then he moves up to Olivia Colman and goes, tomato basil soup.
God.
I can feel it running down my throat.
God. Damn it. I will scream and throw shit at the screen. I don't care if I get kicked out.
This podcast ever crosses paths with Timothy Chalamet, I'm getting him to say that. I'm getting him to say the line.
It can't be the worst thing he's been asked to do.
Oh, no. Not by a mile.
That's it? They'd be like, yeah, that's all we need from you. That we worked for like 2 years just for that moment. And he'll be like, and he's gonna be like tomato bisque, and we're gonna be, you ruined it!
You fucked it, Timothy!
Not a bisque, you ass!
Have you ever fucking heard of a tomato bisque? No, of course you haven't. It doesn't exist.
Clam
Timothy?
chowder. Yeah, it's not. Do you not know a thing about soup? It was the
tomato chowder. What the fuck are you talking about?
What?
Have you ever served a soup in your life?
Spaghetti out of here, bitch! What are you talking about?
I can't believe it's not possible.
It's not possible at all.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of Wonka Watch. Hope you enjoyed this sleepover, and don't shit your pants too intensely.
Don't trust the fart. Be sure, again, listener episode coming up. So send us all your delightful deliciousies at wonkarapture@gmail.com.
Woo!
Follow us on, I was going to say Wonka and Twitter. That's all sorts of wrong. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Wonka Watch. And be sure to actually go check out the Instagram because I'm going to be posting polls leading up to the listener episode.
Oh my God.
So make sure that you get your vote in or you'll be a square looking round all these circles. We're cool. Oh, man. Anything else, Felicia? Save me. Save me.
I don't know, man. It's not that important. It's not that important.
It's really not that important. Bye. Wonka, 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 Wonka.